Bill Gaither's wife says goodbye to him. After his tragic illness for more than 8 decades, Gaither was a cultural icon from his groundbreaking days as a singer and songwriter of Southern gospel and contemporary Christian music, but behind the scenes the legendary musician had a personal struggle that has now come to light in a heartbreaking way. According to recent reports, his wife of many years, Gloria Gaither, is preparing to say goodbye amid what insiders are calling Gaither's most complex health crisis, yet the news has sent shock waves through the music community and left fans around the world worried about the health of their favorite drummer. What exactly is Gaither facing? How serious is his condition, and what led Gloria to this emotionally devastating decision? The answers paint a picture of courage, dedication, and the harsh realities that even the most famous personalities eventually have to face for years. Bill Gaither's voice and energy were the driving forces behind the success of the Gaither vocal band, known for his deep, soulful singing and his strong presence both on and off stage. Bill had been a constant figure in the world of Southern gospel and contemporary Christian music. He had inspired millions with his music, and his charismatic performances had kept audiences captivated for decades. However, as with many artists, the years began to take their toll, and Bill's health started to show the first signs of wear and tear. It started with small things, just little changes that seemed insignificant at first. On stage, Bill had always been full of energy, engaging with the crowd and making every performance feel like a special experience. But during his later tours, those who were close to him began to notice subtle differences. Bill wasn't quite as animated as he used to be. His movements, once fluid and confident, seemed slower and more deliberate. There were moments when he appeared slightly out of breath, not quite able to maintain the same pace as before. At first, these changes were dismissed as part of getting older. After all, Bill was no longer a young man, and it was easy to chalk up his fatigue to the long hours of travel and performing. But as time went on, these small signs started to pile up, and it became clear that something more was happening. Bill began to experience bouts of dizziness, and on occasion he looked exhausted after performing just a few songs. This wasn't typical for someone who had spent his life on stage. His energy and stamina had always been one of his trademarks, and to see him struggling was unsettling for those around him. The first major warning sign came during a performance in early 2023. Bill, who had always been a perfectionist when it came to his shows, seemed to falter mid-performances. Timing was off, and he struggled to keep up with the band. At first, the audience didn't notice much, but those who were working with him behind the scenes could tell that something wasn't right. Bill, however, brushed it off, not wanting to cause any alarm. He finished the show, but the signs of fatigue were becoming harder to ignore as the months passed. Things didn't improve. His bandmates, his family, and his friends began to worry more seriously. There were discussions behind the scenes about his health, but Bill, ever the professional, insisted on carrying on with his work. He didn't want to disappoint the fans, and he didn't want to be seen as weak or incapable. His legacy had been built on hard work, dedication, and resilience, and the last thing he wanted was for his health to affect his career. In the spring of 2024, Bill's health started to decline more noticeably. On multiple occasions, he had to cancel performances due to unexplained illness or exhaustion. His team and management tried to keep the details quiet, but those close to him knew that something was seriously wrong. The pressure of keeping his condition under wraps became increasingly difficult. Bill's wife, Gloria, was deeply concerned but remained supportive, doing everything she could to help him rest. and recover. She understood the emotional toll it took on Bill to slow down, especially after a lifetime of performing, but she also knew that his health had to come first. Finally, in late 2024, Bill was diagnosed with a serious health condition. The details of his illness remained private, but it was clear that the battle ahead would be much tougher than anyone had anticipated. The diagnosis sent shockwaves through the music community. Fans who had seen Bill as a larger-than-life figure were shaken by the reality of his situation. Behind the scenes, Gloria and the family began to make preparations for the difficult times ahead. Bill's health problems, once thought to be a minor issue related to aging, had now evolved into something far more serious. This marked the beginning of an entirely new chapter for Bill and Gloria, one where they would have to navigate the challenges of illness together. As Bill faced the physical challenges of his condition, Gloria stepped up in ways that few could have anticipated. Her strength and devotion became a beacon of hope for Bill, even as he struggled to come to terms with the reality of his situation. This was a turning point in their journey, and though the road ahead was filled with uncertainty, Bill and Gloria's unwavering love for each other became the anchor that kept them grounded despite the health battles that lay ahead. They knew that they would face them together, just as they had faced every challenge in their life and career. Bill Gaither and Gloria's story is a testament to the power of love and the unique bond that can form between two people who share a passion for music. Their journey together began long before they became a public couple. Both Bill and Gloria were deeply embedded in the world of gospel and contemporary Christian music, but it was their shared love for music that laid the foundation for their relationship. They first met during their work in the gospel music scene. Bill, already a well-known figure in Southern gospel, was captivated by Gloria's talents and her dedication to the music. Gloria, for her part, was drawn to Bill's passion and the way he used his music to inspire others. Their connection was instant, built on mutual respect for each other's craft. Music wasn't just a career for them, it was a life force, a language they both understood and expressed in the same way. Their relationship grew organically, fueled by their shared experiences in the music world. They collaborated on several projects, creating music that spoke to the hearts of their fans. Over time, their personal connection deepened. Their partnership, both musical and personal, blossomed as they spent more time together. They traveled the world, sharing stages and creating unforgettable moments with their fans. In 1981, after years of growing closer, Bill and Gloria took the next step and married. The wedding was a simple, intimate affair, an expression of their love for each other and their shared devotion to their music. There were no grand gestures or elaborate celebrations. For them, the day was about the bond they had formed and the commitment they were making to each other. Their marriage wasn't just about love, it was about partnership. Bill and Gloria worked together, supporting each other both professionally and personally. While Bill was on stage leading the Gaither vocal band, Gloria was often right by his side, contributing to the music in her own way. She played an essential role behind the scenes, helping with the organization and direction of the group's projects. Their partnership allowed them to overcome the many challenges that came with their demanding careers. They faced the pressures of constant touring, the expectations of fans, and the hurdles that came with the ups and downs of the music industry. But through it all, their love for each other remained constant in their lives. As the years passed, their bond only grew stronger. Their marriage became an example of what it means to work together to support each other. Through thick and thin, they celebrated Each milestone together, whether it was a new album release, a successful tour, or a personal victory, their love for each other and their music intertwined, creating a legacy of collaboration, support and respect. Bill and Gloria Gaither's marriage was a true partnership. It was a partnership based on more than just shared interests. It was built on a foundation of love, trust, and mutual admiration. They were not only husband and wife but also collaborators and best friends, united by their shared passion for music and the life they had created together as Bill Gaithers. Still Bill Gaither, still the man with the big ideas and the bold vision, but now he seemed to be fighting something much bigger than just aging. Gloria was his rock as she had always been, but she found herself increasingly afraid that this might be something beyond their control. The situation escalated when doctors began delivering troubling news. Bill's health problems were more serious than anyone had anticipated. Gloria and Bill were no longer just concerned with minor issues. They were now facing a life-changing challenge. Bill had been diagnosed with a serious condition, one that required intense medical attention and would have long-term effects on his health. The diagnosis came like a punch to the gut, a reality check that none of them were ready for. At first there was a sense of disbelief. Bill was a fighter, a man who had faced countless challenges in his career. He had always overcome the odds, always found a way to keep going. But this was different. This wasn't something that could be overcome with sheer willpower. Bill's body, once so strong, was now betraying him, and the situation felt out of their hands. Gloria watched as Bill's optimism began to fade. The man who had once been the emotional core of the Gaither vocal band, always upbeat, always ready to lead, was now fighting a battle he couldn't win. The weight of his diagnosis, the reality of his condition, began to settle over him like a heavy fog. It wasn't just physical exhaustion, it was a deep emotional toll that he couldn't escape. The emotional strain of the situation took its toll on both of them. For Gloria, watching the man she loved suffer was unbearable. She had always been there for him, supporting him through thick and thin, but now she found herself facing a new reality. She had to be strong for both of them, but that didn't mean she wasn't struggling herself. The love they shared, the years of partnership, the music they created together, it all felt like it was being overshadowed by this new terrifying challenge. As the weeks passed, the couple faced difficult decisions, medical treatments, options for care, and the question of how to navigate the road ahead all loomed large in their minds. Gloria, ever the optimist, tried to keep things as normal as possible. She continued to support Bill in every way she could, but she knew that nothing would be the same again. The reality of the situation was becoming more and more apparent. Bill, ever the perfectionist, wanted to keep going, to continue performing, to keep the music alive, but it was becoming clear that his body wasn't cooperating. The fatigue was too much, and the physical strain of touring was simply no longer an option. As difficult as it was for Bill to accept, he knew that his health had to come first. The decision to step back from performing was one of the hardest he had ever made, but he made it not because he wanted to, but because it was what he had to do. For Gloria, this decision marked the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. They were no longer just a couple facing the pressures of fame and family. They were now facing something far more personal and intimate. Gloria had always been by Bill's side, but now she had to be more than just a wife and partner. She had to be a caregiver. The emotional weight of this role was immense. It wasn't just about caring for Bill. Gloria found herself reflecting on their life together. She thought back to the early days when they first met, the years they spent building Their careers, raising their children and supporting each other through the highs and lows of life. There had been joy. There had been struggles, but through it all they had always had each other, and now as the end neared, Gloria knew that it was time to let go, to say goodbye. The decision wasn't made in haste, it was the result of long conversations with doctors, with family, and with Bill himself. He had made it clear in his quiet moments that he was ready. He didn't want to continue suffering, and he knew that the time had come to rest. There were no more treatments to try, no more options left. It was a difficult, heartbreaking reality, but one that they both knew had to be faced. As Bill passed, there was a profound sense of peace in the room. Gloria, surrounded by their family, held Bill's hand one last time. The man who had been her partner, her lover, everything was gone, and though the pain of losing him was almost unbearable, Gloria knew that she had given him everything he needed in those final moments. She had been there for him, just as he had always been there for